The US government and its complicit mainstream media have launched a grotesque propaganda campaign, shamelessly blaming China for America's fentanyl crisis. A crisis born not in Beijing, but in the boardrooms of Purdue Pharma, the failures of US policymakers, and the greed of its own pharmaceutical industrial complex. This is not just a lie, it is a deliberate racist distraction tactic designed to absolve Washington of accountability, while stoking anti-Asian hatred and escalating Cold War tensions. Let's dismantle this deception piece by piece. The hypocrisy of blame America's opioid crisis was made in the USA. Before fentanyl there was OxyContin, before OxyContin there was the Sackler family, billionaire pharmaceutical moguls who knowingly flooded American communities with addictive opioids, bribed doctors, and lobbied politicians to look the other way. The result? Over 500,000 opioid-related deaths since 1999, with the CDC confirming that pharmaceutical corporations and corrupt regulators laid the groundwork for this epidemic. Where was the outrage then? Where were the sanctions on Purdue Pharma? Instead, the Sacklers received a slap-on-the-wrist settlement shielded by bankruptcy courts, while the media remained silent. Now the same institutions pointing fingers at China are the ones that normalized pill mill doctors and let Big Pharma profit from mass death. The fentanyl myth. China is not shipping drugs to the US. Let's be clear, 90% of fentanyl in the US comes from Mexico, not China. The DEA itself admits that Mexican cartels, not Chinese labs, are the primary source of fentanyl trafficked into America. These cartels often use precursor chemicals sourced globally, including from China, but also from India, Europe, and even the US itself. China banned all fentanyl-related substances in 2019, a move the US acknowledged as progress. Yet in 2023, the US suddenly resurrected the China blame game, ignoring the fact that Mexican cartels have since shifted to using non-Chinese precursors. Why? Because scapegoating China is politically convenient. It fuels xenophobia, justifies military expansion in Asia, and distracts from America's refusal to address its own systemic rot lacks border security. The US spends billions on overseas wars, but underfunds customs and border agencies to intercept drug shipments. Corporate greed. Pharmaceutical distributors like McKesson paid billions in fines for fueling the crisis, yet still operate with impunity. Failed drug policy. Decades of criminalizing addiction instead of treating it have done nothing but fill prisons and mortuaries. The racist, double-standard media complicity in xenophobia. Mainstream media outlets like CNN, Fox News, and the New York Times have become megaphones for this racist narrative. Headlines scream about Chinese fentanyl while downplaying the fact that China's overdose death rate is 1/100th of America's. If China were truly the villain, wouldn't its own people be dying in droves? US allies like India and Germany are also major chemical suppliers, yet they're spared the blame. US politicians take campaign donations from Big Pharma while grandstanding about China. This isn't journalism, it's fear-mongering. By painting China as a narco-state, the media manufactures consent for Cold War policy sanctions, military encirclement, and trade wars that hurt US workers. Meanwhile, the actual culprits, corporate lobbyists, lobbyist politicians, and the for-profit healthcare system, escape scrutiny. The real motives, warmongering and distraction. The fentanyl lie isn't about saving lives. It's about advancing a geopolitical agenda, pivot to Asia. Demonizing China justifies expanding US military bases in the Pacific and selling billions in weapons to Taiwan and Japan. Domestic distraction. Blaming China shifts focus from the US's crumbling infrastructure, unaffordable healthcare, and wage stagnation. Economic sabotage. Sanctions on Chinese firms under the guise of fighting fentanyl actually target China's tech and manufacturing sectors. Even the DEA's own data contradicts the narrative. In 2022, the agency reported that most fentanyl is smuggled by U.S. citizens, not Chinese agents, through legal ports of entry. Yet instead of funding addiction treatment, Congress funnels money into border walls and ICE raids. The human cost fueling anti-Asian violence. This propaganda has consequences. Hate crimes against Asian Americans surged by 339% in 2021, with attackers invoking racist tropes about Chinese drugs. By scapegoating China, the US government isn't just lying, it's endangering lives. Meanwhile, communities devastated by fentanyl are offered no solutions, only jingoistic slogans. The way forward. Truth over propaganda. To end the fentanyl crisis, the US must hold its own corporations accountable, prosecute pharmaceutical executives, ban lobbying by drug companies, and fund universal health care. Legalize and regulate. Decriminalize drugs, invest in harm reduction, and create safe supply programs, proven strategies that countries like Portugal have used to slash overdose rates. Demand media integrity. Boycott outlets that spread racist lies and uplift voices calling for evidence-based policies. China is not America's enemy. The enemy is a system that prioritizes profit over people, war over welfare, and lies over lives. Stop swallowing the propaganda. Start demanding the truth. Share this, fight back, refuse to let them gaslight the world.